We'd like to share with you our story as a couple. We've been married for 9 years. It's not all been a bed of roses. We've gone through our share of hard times.
We've had many financial struggles. We've had deep debt, and which has also almost torn apart our marriage and brought us to the brink of divorce. But we have found, in the midst of all of this, great hope.
I had struggled with finances from the beginning. Through college, the last year or so, I've financed myself through credit cards. I mean, not thinking, just thinking, well, I'll pay this down the road when I get out. I'll have that big paying job and I'll wipe this debt out, so I'm not worried about debt. And got into a big bind. I graduated college deeply in debt, and the big job wasn't there, and the entry level job was. And so I struggled and I fell behind, and I had creditors calling every day, but I still money was just a pain, but it's something that you earn for entertainment to please yourself. I slowly, through counseling services and stuff, credit counseling services, slowly started paying off that debt, and I actually got to a point where pretty much I got myself out of that original debt. I met Krista, and she was in a similar situation, so we started working on getting her out of her debt. 2000, about 2000, we pretty much got out of our debt combined, and you would thought we learned our lesson. But I'm thick-headed. I looked at it as I got myself out of that situation, and I could do anything. I had years of business experience behind me now. I knew it all, and I didn't want to work for a corporation anymore. I felt burned out from that, so I decided it was time to open a business, and I went and opened a restaurant, knowing full well that everyone warned me restaurants are not safe investments, that you will burn yourself out and you'll lose a lot of money. And Krista and I had gone through probably a few years after our marriage of slowly going back to church, attending on Sundays, feeling that there was something missing in our lives, and we thought it would be a good thing to start church and exploring our faith, because we had both walked away from our faith early in our probably post-high school years. In 2000, we decided, after actually quite a bit of research and putting a business plan together, I decided it was time to open my own business. Krista was very weary about it, but at the same time, we had done the research, and she knew I was not happy where I was, and in the end, I think she also knew I would do what I want to do. I quit a very well-paying job and dove into the restaurant business. Loved it. And to this day, I still believe that there was parts of it that were it freed me from a lot of other things. I needed to explore and do something like that on my own. I grew tremendously from that experience, but it was still a very risky maneuver that wasn't done with proper counsel, wasn't done with proper financing, wasn't done with proper state of mind. It was just something that it was again about me. I wanted to do this. This is something I can do on my own, with some help, of course, my family, but that was just because I was married. It was really about me. So we opened our restaurant. Did for someone who waited tables, and that's my experience in a restaurant, we did fairly well. We did build a good name for ourselves in the community. We had a pretty loyal customer base. But it was bleeding money from the very beginning, and I remember in the very beginning the nervousness that Krista felt, and saying to me, please, just let's not lose everything we have. Let's do this smartly. If it's not going to work out, let's get out of it.
And one thing that I really had him promise was, please, whatever we do, I don't want to lose our house. That was just the most important thing to me at the time, was the home and everything that represented. And but he didn't listen to counsel, and we continued on, just becoming deeply in debt. And when it became time to close the restaurant a couple of years into it, we were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And we also had the federal IRS knocking on our door looking for their money. And it was a horrible time. It was very stressful. There's a lot of depression and oppression. there was tremendous strain in our marriage and our relationship, and we had actually looked at getting a divorce because we knew the stress of the money and the situations and the outcomes and decisions concerning it were just too much, and we just couldn't do it. So I was pregnant with our second child. We already had a 3-year-old at the time. I was pregnant with the second one. And I had looked for purchasing plane tickets to leave because it was too much. And I knew it was just going to continue that way. But one day, with all of the stress, if we finally came to the point where we realized we couldn't do it alone. And we were just too far down and at the very, very bottom, and we couldn't go any further. And we knew the only way out was in a way that we've never done before, and that was to totally commit our lives to Christ. And just to pray to Him and say, we can't do it. We are so far in debt. Our marriage is just totally on the rocks. We have a child on the way, and there's just no hope. So we decided we were either going to part ways and just continue living the way we were, or we had to totally give our life to Christ. So driving down the road, we decided we would give it a try. And we just prayed while driving in the car and just said, God, we can't do this. We are so completely overwhelmed. There is just no way that we can handle it. We need you to do it. And we submit our lives to you. We don't know how you're going to do this. We're in such a jam. But we're going to do it, and that's what we did, and we prayed that. And
immediately we felt
a relief.
It was a comfort and a peace that came over us that we hadn't known in years.